Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome for the first time. Either way, I'm really glad you're here. Tonight, we're doing something very low key, very calm, very mysteriously abandoned. So if you're listening in bed, go ahead and get comfortable. Dim the lights, let your phone screen go dark. Maybe pull the blanket up just a little higher than necessary. There's no rush, no jump scares, no dramatic plot twists. Just a slow, drifting walk through one of history's most confusing civilizations, the Indus Valley. A civilization that built cities better than most people today, then quietly disappeared. No goodbye note, no dramatic collapse. Just gone. Which is honestly the most relatable thing any ancient society has ever done. So let's ease into it. The Indus Valley Civilization existed around 2600 BCE, give or take a few centuries, which already tells us something important. This was happening at the same time as ancient Egypt was busy stacking rocks into pyramids, and Mesopotamia was inventing bureaucracy and mild existential dread. But the Indus people, they were over there doing their own thing, calmly, efficiently, with excellent plumbing. And yes, we're going to talk about the plumbing. A lot. Because it's weirdly impressive, and historians love nothing more than unexpectedly advanced toilets. The Indus Valley Civilization spread across what is now modern-day Pakistan and northwest India. It followed the Indus River system, which, like most great rivers, provided water, fertile soil, trade routes, and the occasional flood just to keep everyone humble. At its height, this civilization covered a larger area than either Egypt or Mesopotamia, which is wild because most people can name 3 Egyptian pharaohs but couldn't tell you a single Indus ruler. That's not because they didn't have leaders, it's because we don't know who they were. No kings, no queens, no giant statues saying, "I did this." No royal tombs stuffed with gold and ego, which is either incredibly mature or deeply suspicious. Let's start with the cities, because honestly, that's where the Indus Valley really shows off. The 2 most famous sites are Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, and right away you can tell something unusual is happening. These cities were planned, like actually planned. Grid systems, streets, standardized brick sizes, zoning, residential areas, public baths, drainage systems that ran under the streets. This is around 4,500 years ago. Meanwhile, medieval Europe was still throwing chamber pots out of windows like, "Good luck down there." The Indus people took hygiene seriously, which raises the question, why? Were they deeply spiritual about cleanliness? Were they just practical? Or did someone once get very sick and everyone collectively agreed, never again? We don't know. We almost never know. Now let's talk about writing, or rather the writing that refuses to cooperate. The Indus Valley had a script. We know this because it appears on seals, pottery, and small objects. Short sequences of symbols, clean, deliberate markings, and no one can read it. Not a single long text, no inscriptions bragging about victories, no epic poems, no religious scriptures carved into stone. Just tiny messages, possibly names, possibly administrative labels, possibly ancient versions of Property of Steve. We've been trying to decode it for a century. It's not clearly related to any known language. It's too short to give us context, and it stubbornly refuses to unlock its secrets, which is incredibly rude, because if we could read it, we might know how they governed themselves, what they believed, what they feared, what made them laugh. Instead, we're left guessing, quietly, politely, forever. Religion in the Indus Valley is another area where everything is just vague enough to be irritating. We find figurines that might represent deities, A famous seal shows a horned figure sitting in what looks like a yogic posture, surrounded by animals. Some scholars think this could be a proto-Shiva figure. Others think that's a stretch. Others think it's just a guy who really liked sitting cross-legged. There are also lots of small female figurines, often interpreted as fertility figures, which could mean goddess worship, or could mean people liked decorative objects. Again, no temples towering above the city, no massive ritual complexes screaming religion happened here. Instead, religion seems personal, domestic, quiet, which fits the overall vibe. Now, trade, however, was not quiet. The Indus Valley Civilization was deeply connected to the outside world. Archaeological evidence shows trade with Mesopotamia. Indus seals have been found in ancient cities like Ur. They traded beads, pottery, textiles, maybe even food products, which means these people were organized. They had systems. They had weights and measures that were standardized across vast distances. Someone was coordinating this. Someone was keeping records. Someone was making sure the beads were the right size. But again, no king, just vibes and bureaucracy. Social structure in the Indus Valley is one of history's great unanswered questions. There are differences in house size, sure. Some people lived in bigger homes with courtyards. Others had smaller dwellings. But the gap isn't extreme. No massive inequality jumping out at us. No slums pressed against golden palaces, which either means they achieved a remarkably balanced society, or we just haven't found the worst parts yet. Historians tend to hope for the first one, couchly. Now, as calming as all of this sounds, let's gently drift toward the question everyone asks: what happened to them? Because around 1900 BCE, the cities start to decline. Construction slows, maintenance drops off, drainage systems stop being repaired. Urban life begins to unravel, but not violently. No widespread destruction layers, no signs of massive invasions, no burned cities screaming, "We were conquered." Instead, it looks like people just left, one by one, gradually, quietly, which is honestly unsettling. Early scholars loved the idea of invasion because, again, historians love drama. They imagined waves of outsiders sweeping in, destroying cities, ending a civilization. But the archaeology doesn't support it. No piles of bodies, no broken weapons everywhere, no clear signs of mass violence. Instead, evidence points to environmental changes. The rivers shifted, flood patterns changed, some areas dried out, others flooded too often. The agricultural base weakened, and when farming becomes unreliable, cities lose their purpose. So people move, not in panic, not all at once, just elsewhere, which might be the least cinematic collapse in history. And that's kind of the Indus Valley's whole thing. They didn't fall dramatically. They didn't leave epic stories. They didn't carve their names into history. They just existed, very competently, very quietly, then stopped, which somehow makes them more haunting than civilizations that went out in flames. Because we can almost imagine them packing up, closing doors, walking away from perfectly good houses with indoor plumbing, and never coming back. Let's gently float forward next time and see what traces they left behind in later cultures, in modern South Asia, and in the unanswered questions that still keep archaeologists awake. But for now, just rest. You're safe here.